take a look at the activity right now over the Gaza Strip. As you can see, we have been watching smoke illuminating from the region. The ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has ended, with fighting resuming this morning. Hamas failed to provide a list of hostage names needed for the extension of that ceasefire. John Negroponte, my next guest, joined the program back in October and said he would not give up on the idea of a ceasefire in Gaza. Here's what he said then. Watch.
If at some point the parties agree to resume, even in principle, some kind of political dialogue, which has been notably absent in the past several years, towards a fundamental resolution of the Palestinian problem, that too could be a basis for some kind of a ceasefire. So I wouldn't give up on the idea of a ceasefire.
And he was right. Joining me right now, the man himself. He is former National Intelligence Director under President George W. Bush, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Ambassador John Negroponte. Thanks very much for being here, Ambassador. Your reaction to how this has played out?
Well, I'm not entirely surprised. I mean, very often in the past, I've lived in a few other situations where there was a hope that a pause or a truce. We used to have Christmas truces in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And there was always people, including Lyndon Johnson, who was hoping that maybe you could use the truce to extend it into something more enduring, more permanent. And almost always our hopes were dashed. So I think that's what's happened this time. I still don't give up on a resolution to this problem over time, but I do think it involves this fundamental question of the Israelis having to be willing to talk about a Palestinian state living at peace side by side with its neighbor Israel. And unless you talk about the fundamental solutions, I mean, this kind of activity, I think, is going to go on.
Well, solutions were also raised by the late Henry Kissinger, of course, ambassador, the former Secretary of State. Dr. Kissinger passing away this week at the age of 100 years old. You served as the director for Vietnam 1971 to 1973 on the National Security Council in the Nixon administration. You also staffed and accompanied Dr. Kissinger for his secret peace talks in Paris and accompanied him on trips to Moscow and Beijing. I want to get your take on your relationship with him, but also what he said about all of this, because we read a speech from Dr. Kissinger just last month when I was with him at the Al Smith dinner, and he said, you're not going to get solutions to this problem until the weapons are cut off to Iran. He said in the Middle East, a barbaric attack by terrorists has redefined the problem for Israel and its allies. Past progress in the region has always depended on direct and active American diplomacy. He goes on to say, he goes on to say the United States must revitalize its historical role over time, but that requires America to recognize that while Jerusalem renews its contribution to a lasting regional order, they also have to understand there will be no durable peace so long as Iran surrounds Israel with tens of thousands of advanced weapons.
I think that happens to be right. And I think it's a reason to continue to be very wary of Iran and do everything we can to help contain their behavior in the region, whether it's in Lebanon or Syria or supporting Hamas. After all, they bankroll Hamas. So Iran is a serious problem, no question about it. But there's also the issue of Israel acknowledging the vision of a two-state solution. And I think Mr. Netanyahu has walked that back a little bit. And again, I don't think we'll get a solution until they come to the recognition that they've got to deal with the possibility of a two-state solution.
Well, there's also, support for Iran from outside forces. Look, you were with Dr. Kissinger when he was trying to open up conversation between the United States and China. There was a belief that at that time, maybe if the United States communicates and shows China, communist China, the benefits of democracy, maybe they will come to the middle. That never happened. In fact, the CCP has gone more inward and more isolationist and has become much more aggressive against America, while also supporting our adversaries such as Iran and Russia. So what do you say today as you sit here after all of those meetings and strategies with Dr. Kissinger? Do you still feel the same about China?
I think you're almost comparing apples and oranges. China was a totally impoverished country. It had no economy. They weren't visualizing the economic situation that they face today. They were poor as church mice. Kissinger and Nixon went to China, I believe, for one principal reason, and that was to counterbalance the Soviet Union. It was a geopolitical reason. We had no illusions that China was going to turn into some kind of democracy or anything like that. That is all. People are imputing those views to us now, but that was not the case at the time. We had absolutely no illusions about the political evolution of China. We were dealing with them for totally geopolitical reasons. And we got Russia's attention, and I think it did help in terms of balancing the international situation at the time.
Okay, fair point. But what has happened since, Ambassador? I mean, look, have they become this superpower partly on stealing? Have they stolen the intellectual property from America to get to where they are today? Now we are talking about a Navy that is larger than the United States in China. What should the United States be doing at this point, given all of this aggression from China? A surveillance balloon traveling America, taking our information from our military bases?
Yeah, and I don't think I disagree with anything you just said. China has evolved. No doubt about it in the last 50 years. I think one of the real turning points during the period of Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms was their joining the World Trade Organization. And I think since that time, they have been a very aggressive economic player on the international scene. We have to raise our guard. We have to improve our defenses. We can't let intellectual property be stolen the way it is. On the other hand, China has also evolved into one of the three superpowers, if you will, of the world. I mean, it's a peer country to the United States today, which it certainly was not in 1972. And we have to figure out how to deal with them in that regard as well. And so I think it's right to reach out to them. I think it's right to have political and diplomatic contacts with them, just like we had with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. But we gotta keep up our guard, and we can't allow our intellectual property to be stolen, and we have to take defensive measures.
Yeah.
The question is which defensive measures. You just can't shut down economic activity between the U.S. and China 100%. There's just no way of doing that.
And by the way, China is still looked at as an emerging economy, a developing economy, according to the UN. Right? I mean, it's the number 2 economy in the world behind the United States. It gets all these benefits because it's developing. It's not developing anymore. Can we agree to that?
Yes, and they enjoy that fiction because I think they feel it generates a certain amount of sympathy for them in the third world and in the less developed world.
Yeah. This aid package, this supplemental package.
They call it the global South.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
Global South.
Well, look, it's discouraging because we know that they've gotten that way partly on America's back. And all that you're saying, we're not doing. We're not visible. We're not pushing back. I mean, look, Iran just attacked our troops in the Middle East 70 times. Now we're talking about this supplemental aid package for Israel and Iran. Democrats are split on the package. It includes assistance for Ukraine and Taiwan. The administration is pressing Israel to modify its plans to better protect civilians in Gaza, Ambassador. Is that what's holding up money to Israel? How do you see this policy about money to Israel and Ukraine? Where do you stand on it?
Well, personally, I mean, if I was in the Congress, I'd be in favor of giving them aid, and certainly want to see aid continue to Ukraine. I think it'd be a terrible mistake to somehow delay that or suspend it. I think Mr. Biden's policies towards Ukraine have been very sound. On Israel, well, you know, we probably ought to continue to give them assistance. But I believe in his private conversations and through his emissaries, Mr. Biden has been very candid with the Israelis about some of the problems they have with regard to the treatment of civilians in Gaza and so forth. But I've always been in the school that you've got to give Israel our unconditional support. That's the way I worked when I was ambassador to the United Nations in defending Israel there. And I think that that's sort of one of the cardinal principles of United States foreign policy is our support for Israel. And I believe that that should absolutely continue.
Yeah. Ambassador, it's great to talk with you this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
John Negroponte joining us this morning on all of that.